Today's tech tip is about a Sheets add-on called Doctopus. What Doctopus does is it allows paperless scoring by embedding a rubric and teacher comments directly in student work. Now, in order to use Doctopus, I need to do a couple things to set it up. First of all, I should have all my student work in one folder that I want to score. So I can do that using Google Classroom like I have here, and I've given an assignment and students have turned that assignment in. I actually pushed out a blank document to them, so it created an assignment for them. Or I can take all of the work that they've shared with me and put it in a shared folder like I have with this book review that I received from my students. So either way, I need to know where a folder is that has my student work in it. The second thing I need to do is format the rubric that I plan to use. You'll notice my title here says Rubric. That's what you used to have to use 2 add-ons to make this happen. Now they're embedded together, but I still call it Rubric. That helps me know the format I need. So you still have to set up your rubric in this format. So you have a titles down the left side, you have your scores in a single score across the top, and then your descriptors underneath. And I'll put a link to this example one next to the video. Now, since this is an add-on in spreadsheets, my next step is to create a blank spreadsheet. So I've created an example spreadsheet that I plan on using, and I'm going to add-ons. Now, I've already gotten the Doctopus add-on, but if you need to get the add-on, you click Get Add-ons, and you'll search add-ons for Doctopus. And there it is, and I already have it, so you would just simply add it. And sometimes it takes a minute to show up. So I'm going to go back to my add-ons, and I have Doctopus, and I'm going to push Launch. And sometimes it can take a minute. A script needs my permission to launch, so sometimes you have to update it. I will allow, and you will have to allow when you add the add-on anyway. So over here, it's going to say this application has access, and we're going to say OK. Dismiss that so we can actually see what's up here in the right-hand corner. I'm going to select the mode to use Doctopus. I can either ingest a Google Classroom assignment or choose my folder in Drive, and I'm going to use the Google Classroom assignment today. So I would like to select a class that I want to ingest the classroom assignment from, and I have a lot of classes. So I'm going to go down here to a classroom that actually has students in it. The assignment that I've chosen is the Confederate Monument CER, so I'm going to look for that assignment that I've given. So that took just a minute to load this, and sometimes it does take some time. So down here, I am not going to check the only ingest files that are turned in, because sometimes students forget to click turn in. I'm going to ingest all of them. And this will take a minute to run. So it's ingested the assignment and created a spreadsheet for me. Again, in order to see everything, I do have to dismiss this little note. Up here it says attach rubric. So now I'm going to find my rubric. I'll navigate to that. So it was looking for recent rubrics and taking forever, so I'm going to click on My Drive, and I'm going to go to my drive to select a spreadsheet. And I know that it's called Rubric CER Rubric, so I double click on that, or I click Select. Do I want the rubric viewable to students? And I'm going to say yes. We could allow self and peer assessment. That will be next week's video. I am not going to send email notification to students. mostly because these are students from last year's class and I don't want them to know that I'm rescoring their paper that was already scored. That might confuse them. And now it's going to tag all the student files. I'll pause this while it's doing that. So again, I have to go to More, dismiss this message. I do have the Rubric CER rubric attached. I can have them display average scores if I wish, refresh edits and counts. I can look for new submissions. I could send a feedback email to everybody, and I could even add a co-teacher here. So if I choose to add a co-teacher to the assignment, I would click this and add. And I would add Megan as a co-teacher. So now she would have access to this rubric as well. And she's now notified that she's shared on this assignment. So she can go in and help score these papers if I wish. Which is great for co-taught classes. So my rubric is added. So I'm going to click Done over here. Now, you'll notice each student's name is here, and I can click Assess Document. And I have permission from Jake to show his. Looks like we need an authorization. We can allow that. Now this is starting to look familiar to me. So here's the student's paper down below. And the student followed the directions, and I've actually already scored this paper once. And when you score it, you can click on the tabs above, and then you could say, well, this is a 3. His evidence was great. He's going to get a 4 on the evidence. You can either type in the number or click on it. Reasoning. And then maybe he did great on conventions, for example. And then over here in the comments box, I could write a general comment to Jake, or I can record an audio comment that the student could play back. And once I click submit down below here, I have some choices. Do I want to email the scores to Jake? Do I want to change the students from can view to can't comment? Do I want to auto advance to the next student's paper? And then only add the scored categories to the doc. That's new. So down below, once I hit submit, what this does is it pastes the rubric with the scores directly below the student's writing. And then any comments that I made down below, if I had typed something in, would be written down there. And then students can go in and look at their papers and see what I've scored. Now, as a teacher, I can go back to my example spreadsheet, and once I've scored them, I get a written feedback over here. So I can put, there's their grade, there's the written feedback that I would have given, and their scores. And then the rubric scores are also in another tab. And then there's a timestamp next to it, so those scores would be there. So now I've navigated to an actual document where I did score the students' papers, and then I have all of the data for each of the sections in my rubric. I have the comments that I made. I have how many times it was scored. So if I scored it twice, those scores will overwrite. And then my next column or sheet also gives me the same data, which is a great way to collect the data. I used to rely on my students to fill out a little survey and tell me what their scores were, but here I actually get the correct answers. So to recap, you're using an add-on called Doctopus to attach a rubric that you've created to student work. It doesn't just have to be a document. Some of our choir teachers are using it to score student recordings of their practice sessions. There's many things that you could attach this to, so give it a try. Next week, we'll talk about how students can use this same add-on to self-score their own paper or to peer edit a paper.